Good morning, sunshine. Do you hate when I do that? My kids hate when I do that when I walk into their room in the morning. But it's 100% effective. So it is Wednesday, and it is the very first day of May. I'm excited. Are you excited? I'm not excited for any reason. I just woke up this way. I've been awake for about 20 minutes. Hopefully the rest of the day stays this energized and excited. So I was telling you yesterday, pause. I did not tell you yesterday about this hat that I am wearing. That is huge. Look at how big it is. I could totally wear it slouchy, but I'm really liking folding up the brim and having my ears be extra warm because cold and wet is way colder for me personally, for my ears personally, than cold and dry. You can come in. Someone's up early this morning. It's not time for him to be awake for 40 more minutes. Good morning, sunshine.
Can you not do that, please?
No, I'm always going to do that in the morning. Okay, so this hat is a sample that I made for a Joanne's class, and I didn't realize I was going to like it so much. It is two color work right here. This is Wool-Ease Fisherman. This is Wool-Ease Charcoal, maybe. I don't usually work with Wool-Ease, but it's pretty warm. I'm really enjoying it.
Can I try?
Can you try what?
Uh-huh.
I guess. There you go. You like it? You see how I didn't weave in this end? I should probably do that. Or unicorn! We could be unicorns. What do you think?
Yes.
Okay, unicorns it is. All right. So I was talking yesterday about how I am going to see Avengers Endgame today. Not with you. You're going to be at school.
No.
Yeah. You're going to be at school. It's a 3-hour movie. There is no way your sister would sit through a 3-hour movie. I don't even think you could sit through a 3-hour movie.
I might just fall asleep.
Right? You can see it when it comes out on Netflix or Redbox or something.
What's Redbox?
Redbox is it's like a kiosk at a grocery store where you can rent DVDs for a day.
Huh?
Yeah. Okay, so I will show you what I have planned for that. I need my arm back. Thank you. Yeah, for real. He's highly distracting, but so adorable, right? Okay. Oh, side notes. Guess what?
What?
Someone responded to the video that you were in, guessing ages. They were incorrect, but they responded to you guys.
Yay.
Right? Okay, so back to
What
barn
did they
raising.
guess?
5 and 7. They may have been guessing Katie and Mara's age. It's hard to tell. They didn't specify what they were guessing, but they guessed. So, barn raising squares. I am definitely going to take barn raising squares. And yesterday I said 5 needles. I only have 4, which is still kind of a lot of having random size 2s lying around. But I do a lot of size, or did a lot of size 2 blanket knitting. I've kind of been moving towards size 1 for fingering weight blankets. So whatever. This one's still on the size, US size 2. So first color. I have this little tiny bit. And, uh-oh, where did I put the, over here? It's okay, I found it. And this ball of white birch fiber arts, yes. Does this rainbow make my black look big? So that is going to be Barn Raising Square number 1. This kind of hot mess, which I may or may not rewind into a neater ball before I go to the movie theater, but probably not, because that is something that I can do in a movie theater, is unwind a tangle. It's not even a tangle, it's just a little bit of yarn barf from the center of the remnant of the, what is that called? Skein. 100% enthusiasm, like 80% brain function, because it's still so early. Whatever. That one is a little bit further because I finished the socks that I was working on Sunday or something, and immediately cast this on in hopes to make a square on Scrappy Sunday, and then I didn't because I was working on my other socks to try to get them finished for the knit along, the ZK knit along. So yes, that is number 2. Number 3 is Woolfiend in the Sleuth colorway. It's a bluish color. There is no natural sunlight because the sun has not yet risen. It will be up in an hour, maybe an hour and 10, somewhere around there. Well, it will be rising then. So I have that much started of Sleuth. I haven't put in stitch markers on any of them, but I will put stitch markers on all of them before I go. And then the third one that I'm going to put on here is this Patons Croy in the Coastal Stripes colorway. I don't know if that's accurate. I think it is. I made a pair of nephew socks out of it. They were vanilla. The Croy sock, because it's a little bit thicker, I do one less round than the others. So that is my plan for that, and I will start that in a moment. I am thinking about taking the trough, even though I said probably not. I think I am going to take the trough, and I have finished. So there's a garter stitch section, and then there's a stockinette section, and now I'm going to do another garter stitch section, and that has short rows. So I'm going to work that before we go to the movies, so I can just have another stockinette section when we walk in, and I will do the stockinette section at the movies. And I don't know if all of this is 3 hours worth of knitting. So I'm still kind of on the fence about starting another project to take. I don't know. What do you think? Should I start another project for the movie just in case? Or should I just only take these things and hope that it's enough to get me all the way through the 3-hour movie?
You should take like more things because you knit fast.
Okay, the child has spoken. I will consider what I'm going to cast on, and I will check in with you later. Bye! Do you want to say bye?
Bye.
You don't have to. Oh, okay. I've swapped out one child for another. This one is awake 25 minutes before wake up alarm. How are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm so excited to start another awesome school day.
We love starting awesome school days around here. Did you have good sleep?
Kind of.
Oh, why only kind of?
Well, to be honest, friends, just Mario 33 fans. And what's your channel's name?
Bunnyfish Crafts.
And Buddyfish Crafts fans. I have a question for you.
Oh, okay. What's your question?
What school do you go to? Tell me in the comments down below. And Mom.
Okay. Thank you. Guess what? Someone responded to your question in the first video, they guessed 5 and 7, which is not quite accurate for your ages, but it's pretty close, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Katie's not 5.
How old is Katie?
7,
And how old are you?
8,
How old is Gabriel?
10.
See, close guess. Very close.
Like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button for when all of our new videos are out. And remember, hashtag JustMara33 is fun, and hashtag what's your
Buddy Fish Crafts.
Buddy Fish Crafts is awesome. Goodbye.
So it is just about 7, and you can kind of see through my window that the sun is up. And I am getting ready to take the children to school in a little bit. But I did manage to finish that short row garter stitch section of this cowl. So now I have several rounds of stockinette with increases at the stitch marker points. So this is ready for the movies. So I will set it aside. I have 3 of the barn raising squares set up with stitch markers. I'm about to cast on the 4th one, and I'm still not sure what else I'm going to take. This might be enough to get me through 3 hours, but I'm really nervous that it's not. And the thing is, when I feel like my project is not going to get me all the way through a movie, I'm always right. I'm always correct in that. And sometimes it's just like 2 or 3 rounds on a sock that I need to do just to get me through the end of the movie, but I would rather not waste that knitting time. So I'm not sure. I don't think I'm going to start a whole new project. I think what I'm going to do is cast on 2 um, two mitered squares. Oh, the basket. You're sitting on a basket. Upside down this time, but it's sitting on my plastic bag that has my scraps that I'm working into my mitered squares immediately. I think I'm going to cast on a square for my best friend's blanket and a square for my blanket and take those. And then if I still feel like I don't have enough knitting to take with me, I might revive the tripartite just for today. Just, if I get a couple rows done on that, at least it's a couple more rows. I have to look at the pattern. I have to look at the project because, of course, I didn't make a note of where I stopped. So I will look at that after. No, I'll look at that before I drop my kids off. So that's what I'm thinking. Sorry, the dog is now knocking into the basket, which is shaking the basket. Um, so yeah, those are my thoughts. 2 mitered squares and tripartite are also coming to the movies. It's fine. I would rather have too much knitting than not enough knitting, for sure. I do have one last prep thing to do before I go to the movies. I was talking on the podcast about how I was planning on cutting this yarn when it stopped being marled and went to a more solid because the center has the same dark and light marl. So I am going to I'm going to butterfly this outside last, I don't know, 6 rounds. What do you call it when it's on a cake? Let me know below. Comment below. Um, Layers of wrapped yarn. I'm going to butterfly that off and connect it to the inside so that I will be working from the inside out of the cake to keep the dark marls together, because then I will be attaching to this lighter cake and the outside of the cake matches pretty well with this more solid. It's not a true solid. It's still a little bit marled, but it looks solid from far away. So it matches better with that. So I'm going to take care of that too before I go to the movies.
Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Today, well, to be honest, My brother and I just got home from school.
True story. So I have a lot to check in with you about, but first, Aunt Mandy got presents for me and Mara because normally my sister and I hang out on Wednesdays, but today I was seeing Endgame, so we didn't hang out. The first thing that she got me is my very own beach umbrella, which I'm super excited about. And then, are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready for this reveal?
Yes. I'm looking away. Ah! She got me this.
What is it?
It's a dry erase board.
It's a travel pack. It's for drawing in the car.
Yeah.
How cool. Do you like it?
Definitely. No, just my 33 fans. Comment down below. No, fans. Comment down below if you have this pack.
Not only did she get me a beach umbrella, which is amazing because I don't like sun. I appreciate sunshine for what it does for like plants and things, but for me, it gives me a migraine and it makes my skin itchy. Like I don't get sunburns very rarely. I think I've had like one sunburn since I had Gabriel. It almost never happens, mostly because I stay inside as much as possible. I also sit in the shade as much as possible, and I use sunblock very, very thoroughly and reapply like you're supposed to. But she got me a beach umbrella, so it'll make it even easier to stay in the shade when I take the kids to the beach. Not only that, she got me these. So they look like giant clothespins, right? They're beverage holders. You can clip them on like anything. What does it say you can clip them on? Desks or beach chairs up to 1.25 inches thick. That's amazing. I'm so excited about these. You guys do not even know. Because I have beach chairs and they have a drink holder. But I usually use the drink holder to hold my cake of yarn, so then I can't keep my drink in the chair because what's more important, the drink or the yarn? The yarn, obviously. So that is super, super cool. So now I can have both on my chair. And then I have a notebook problem. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I love notebooks. She got me 3 of the, what are they called? The notebooks where the lines that you write on are, oh, it says right there, a novel journal. She got me 3 novel journals. I am so excited for these because I've wanted one for such a long time, but they are pricey. They're not like ridiculously expensive, but they're just more than I wanted to pay. And now I have 3. I'm super excited. So I have, can you see? No, you can see that there's a novel journal, but you can't see what they are. So there is Emma by Jane Austen, which I've never read. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, which I've never read. And Jane Eyre, which I have read. But I'm super excited. So I will probably read these before I write in them. Not Jane Eyre because I've already read it, but Emma and The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. I'm so excited about these, and they have fun colored edges on the paper, and the text matches. In that one, it matches the color of the outside of the page. In this one, it's more of a limey, a little bit darker limey green, and this is a little more brown than orange, but I am so excited. I am so super spoiled. So do you guys want to see what I worked on while I was at the movies? I did not work on either of my 2 large projects, partly because the theater was about half full and it was all the back half, which is the best place to sit. But I had someone next to me who was not, family or friend, so I felt awkward. Not awkward enough to not knit, but awkward enough that it slowed me down a fair bit because I like to have my projects spread all around me so that when I finish one, I can just pick up the next one without having to search for it. And I felt self-conscious, so I didn't have that setup going and less work than I wanted to. Okay, didn't work on that. This barn raising square is ready to attach the border and cut that yarn. That is the Knit Picks Felici. I did this mitered square, but I dropped a stitch, so I have to fix that. But this mitered square is from the mini that Kat sent me, Cattails Yarn, when I ordered the yarn, and she provided prizes for the knit along. Da, 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 da. I did this square, and this is the leftover from the Regia Perfect, the one that had the blue cuffs, toes, and heels that I made for my mom because I had a lot of that yarn left over. So there's that mitered square. And I finished this barn raising square except for the border. And this is the Coastal Stripes colorway. I also have this square, which does this rainbow make my black look big. So this one is about 2/3 of the way through the increases, I think, somewhere around there. So I'm going to finish up these 3 squares and set the 4th one aside for barn raising square, the 4th barn raising square aside for later when I feel like working on barn raising squares again. This morning I got through the first half of the day 2 clue, so I'm going to finish day 2 and day 3 on that, and then probably work on trough some more, or the sweater. I don't know. The new challenge still isn't posted, so I don't know what new things I want to cast on. So I'll just be working on scrappy projects and the 4 projects that I have going. I will need to spin some more, but quick check-in about my mystery knit along. So I have, this is my SC, and I have this much left after completing day 2. So I kind of think I might be able to get day 3 out of this too, which would mean that it takes about 12 yards of the secondary color per day. I don't know how many yards this is. I haven't measured it. I'm going to see how far I can get. And I should probably start spinning because I'm either going to run out partway through today's clue or I'm just not going to have any to do for tomorrow. So I will be spinning this at some point this evening also. My boyfriend doesn't work on Wednesdays, so he is upstairs and my kids are hanging out with him because he works evenings, or he works overnight. So he usually is asleep when they get home from school. So on Wednesdays, it's like a special fancy treat that he's not, and they like to hang out with him. So I get to not hang out with my kids, which I love my children, but it's also nice to have mommy time. So I'm gonna enjoy some mommy time for a little while until they come back down here, as they always do. If you watch any sort of floss tube, you've probably heard that it is May, and May means Stitch Mania, which is really exciting, and I think I want to participate in a highly modified version of Stitch Mania. My thoughts are, I don't have any active cross stitch works in progress. I have all of the components for a large fairy cross stitch that I was working on ever ago, but they're not all in one place and I don't exactly know where they all are. I know they all exist. I've seen all of the components in recent months, just not together. So I won't be doing cross stitch. I will be working on this embroidery that I started, I think it was last year. It's really pretty. I really like the idea of it. I love paisleys. I just set it aside and didn't pick it back up. So I plan to work on this, but this is the only thing that's like in the true spirit of Stitch Mania, I guess, as I have seen it shown on other people's floss tube accounts or, you know, crafty things. Look at how sloppy those French knots are right here. Totally gonna pull those out and redo them. Maybe do a different, I heard there's something called a colonial knot. Maybe I'll look into that and see what that is. See, those French knots, while not perfect, look much nicer. Yeah, that's gonna get pulled out. So I want to work on this. And then all the other things that I kind of want to work on are not that sort of project. So this is my goal for Stitch Mania. My personal goal is to pick up a needle every day, like a sewing or embroidery needle every day, and use at least one length of thread. So when I measure thread off of a spool or off of a like a hank of embroidery floss, I do from my fingertip to the center of my chest, because when I was in college and I was I worked in the costume shop for the theater department. That was how long my boss lady told me to cut it, because that is as long as you can like comfortably pull when you're sewing. So that is not top priority today. Today I plan to do my sewing on this pair of uniform pants, which belongs to the boy child and has a hole in a very inappropriate spot. So I will be sewing that up today. I would like to get back to working on this, which is going to be a draft stopper for a door. So the H is completely on, the O is completely on. I am working on stitching around the M, and there was an E on here. I don't recall if it was stitched on or just pinned on, but I decided that I didn't like the color palette. I think it was stitched on, because I have some little threads here still hanging on, but I think it was too close in color to the M, maybe. I don't remember. So I'm going to have to cut an E. I also recall that I didn't really like the shape of it. I think that I did a capital E, and I think I would much prefer a lowercase e with this. So my plan is to, this is where threads go to die. So I had been doing this stitch sampler, and I started this when I was doing a cross stitch. And then every time I finished a floss color in that cross stitch, because it was a little kit, I finished out the floss stitching around these letters. So I will be doing that with whatever comes off of here. But also, if I finish fixing those pants and there's a length of thread attached to the needle, I will stitch that in. That is my plan for this. So this is where threads go to die. So I will be actively working on it when appropriate, I guess, this month. I would like to get, my goal for the end of May would be to have the M completely stitched down. And since it's not a focus, like I could do that in an evening if I just focused on it, but this is not a focus. So by the end of the month, I would like to have that finished. I would like to make significant progress on this. I guess I'll talk about this embroidery thing for just another moment. I would like to have all of so there's 4 sections that I'm going to do in this green. I would like to have that one, and this one finished by the end of the month. And then this one's green. I'm going to do that one green, and then the same thing over on this one. I would like to have that done. I would like to work all the way through the green for sure. This is the floss that came in the kit, and I do have a pretty substantial assortment of floss to use as needed. What are you doing? My dog is standing right behind the laptop, just like sniffing the air. The rest of this is kind of just ideas that Stitch Mania is sparking as I'm just thinking about it. I don't have a sewing machine. Lies. I have a sewing machine in the basement that I don't know if it works, and I'm not willing to go dig it out. I'm not that inspired, mostly because I don't have a space to leave it set up. If I had a dedicated craft room or even a dedicated craft area where I could leave it set up, I would put forth the effort to go find my sewing machine. But that's not my reality right now. So all of the sewing that I'm doing is hand sewing. I'm pretty quick at hand sewing. I have a lot of experience doing it. I actually, in college, hand sewed bags for sale. So that was one of the many side jobs that I had in college. So these are just ideas that I've shown you the 2 things that I would like to actually do. Anything else that happens during the month is just extra credit. So the first big thing is hanging up still. Do you guys remember when I showed you? It was Insta stories. So if you weren't following my Vlogmas on Instagram, you wouldn't have seen this. But if you were, I showed you that in my bedroom closet, I had my setup for Christmas. My advent calendar is still hanging there because I really want to be inspired to sew, to quilt around the tree. Other things that I would like to work on, this is a much loved sweatshirt of my son's that is looking pretty raggedy. It's got torn up sleeve and holes in the sleeve. It's got some holes in the back. He wore this all fall and into the winter. There's a hole in the hood. So I would like to turn this into cloth pads. I have a small collection, like 4 or 5, and I love them, but I would like to have more. And this is a fairly thick, kind of soft fabric, so I think this would be good for parts of it. This is my son's favorite t-shirt, but it is too small for him, so I would like to turn this into a pillow for him. Just a little square throw pillow thing. These 3 things I have had for a very, very long time. These traveled from Kentucky with me. I have shirts from when I worked at Kroger. And my plan was to use these shirts, this one and this one, which is inside out, to make a dress for Mara. I don't know if they are long enough to still, well, I mean, this is a lot of fabric. And she's pretty skinny, so I could make it work. But I want to make, I guess I'll use this shirt. This is one of her old shirts, and I'll talk about it in a minute. But I want to make something sort of like this. So a shirt that has like a ruffly detail around the bottom, or several ruffles around the bottom. I would like it, I wanted it to be a dress, but I will take a long shirt because my daughter is very into frilly things. On her days off from school, She will occasionally wear a pair of jeans, but only if she can't find a skirt to wear with her leggings. So yeah, I've been hoarding this for forever, and it's got this fun, what is that they put decorations on shirts with, like vinyl-y stuff, but it's not vinyl? Is it? I don't know. But so it's got all these bright colors, and if I cut it up, you wouldn't see that it was a duck. But this has been marinating for forever, so maybe this will happen someday and maybe it won't. This is a shirt that she wore when she was learning how to use scissors. Or maybe not even learning, maybe she just stole scissors, and Mara has been creative from the jump. She loves to make paper dollhouses and dolls and stuff. You've met Katie, who she has had some version of every single day since January 1st. No, since before January 1st, because January 1st was Katie's birthday, and Katie was around for maybe a week before her birthday happened. So yeah, she's that sort of creative. She's paper creative. So there were lots of her clothes that had these little holes in them. I love this fabric, and my plan for this is to turn it into a pair of undies for me. And this is a size 5T, which means that I've had it for at least 3 years, possibly longer, with the intent of making undies for myself. I should get on that, but who knows if I will. So those are just the things that that jumped out at me. I also have a quilt that I'm hand sewing, but I don't know where all the pieces are for it since the move, because I moved to this house forever ago, 2.5 years. Does that sound accurate? No. Mars in 2nd grade. Yeah, so 2.5 years, because we moved right before she started kindergarten, and she is almost finished with 2nd grade, and then we have the whole summer again. So about 2.5 years ago, and I have still not unpacked everything that was in the basement. That is a life goal for this summer, is to go through every single box in the basement. But the basement freaks me out. It always has, since I was really, really little. The basement of this house, I don't know what it is. So yeah, life goal. I might work on that quilt. That might be a thing that you see a picture of every once in a while. Who knows? But if you don't see a Stitch Mania idea thing in one vlog, probably don't call me out on it. I mean, you can just say, hey, did you stitch a thing today? And that would be fine. But if it's like 2 days in a row that I don't work on a stitch thing, if it's just a normal day, then come at me. Say, you had a plan, get back to your plan. Because I do want to work on these things. Sewing is not my, sewing and embroidery and cross stitch, they're not my like main craft. That's for sure knitting. So I just forget about them. Also, while we are talking about Stitch Mania, I kind of want to show you one of my favorite things, which I never talk about because it's not knitting related. It is this. This is not my original idea. I saw it on Pinterest or Facebook or somewhere. I made this a very long time ago. This is a pasta sauce jar that I took the label off of, but not very well. As you can still see, there's some glue on it. It doesn't bother me. It's not sticky. I don't really care. But inside, it has thread, and the idea that I saw had like a whole kit. So you could have thread, you guess that way is better. A little pair of scissors fits nicely in there. And the idea was just have an on-the-go sewing kit. But this is my favorite part. So right here, here's the lid. You can see I have a cardboard, you can kind of see, cardboard circle. And this right here, ooh, those stitches are super sloppy. Doesn't matter. This right here is a dress that Mara had, and it was my favorite. I don't think she's ever had any other article of clothing that I loved so, so much as this little dress because it was green and it had paisleys and flowers and just like everything that I love, but I would never actually wear. I just love them. So what you do is you take a circle of fabric around your circle of cardboard, and this is stuffed with either wool or cat fur because those things don't rust the tips. So these pins have been in here for years, no rust, no problems. Whereas like polyfill can sometimes rust your things. I don't remember where I read that, but I trust it. So, yeah, I love it. It's such a quick little project. You just wash a jar and then sew this. And obviously it doesn't have to be fancy because this snaps as long as you like trace the outside of your lid and then cut it out basically on that line, it just snaps in there and this doesn't fall out. You can keep all of your pins and your thread in a cute little travelable jar. I actually have another one that's made out of like a canning mason jar that is bigger and holds more thread. This one also has it has beads and a pin and some buttons, and that's just laziness. That's not because they need to be in here. I just haven't cleared it out, but I also kind of like the sound that it makes. Anyway, this is seriously one of my favorite things, and it makes me kind of wish that I sewed more so that I could use it more, but every time I see it, it brings me a little spark of joy. So since I have this in here, this needle that has some of this silvery thread, that's what I'm using to stitch on my advent calendar. I guess I'll be putting this length onto that advent calendar. Since it's already on the needle, I may as well use it, right? So I haven't spent my entire day in the bed, but I did spend as much of the day in my bed as I could. So I'm going to finish it out here, even though it's still pretty early. It's like 8:30. I'll be up for a while longer, but I will just be working on the same things that I've been working on all day. So I will have some spinning and some modular projects, and at the very end, which this is right now, I will throw up the spoiler and then show you my chaotic neutral. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.